Okay,
I don't feel like
I
I'm
started the recording. Alrighty, who wants to do the retelling of the previous session? Once again, it is worth a free experience point.
So I believe we started our adventure finishing up the auction for the axe, if I'm not the worthless axe, right? If I'm not mistaken. And then after we made off with the money for the bogus goods, we came across a bunch of people making like food wands and stuff like that. And that became part of Ed's next scheme. We went to a ritzy casino necromancer town and began a process of trying to find our necromancer's butler that led us to a casino, which we've infiltrated, and now are essentially after some hijinks and some fake outs and things like that, we've made it to the back rooms. Ravelin and Rorak are in a shady back room, gambling years of people's lives. I believe Remy is inside of a room with a human-sized briefcase. And let's see. What's your character's name again, Ed?
Daska.
Dasco, yeah. Dasco's in a room with a poorly tied knot around his hands, begging for his life, pretty convincingly. And then Barnabas is posing as a bartender. So we've basically got the whole crew accounted for, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. I believe somewhere in one of the rooms there may be a gentleman who works in the funerary industry in some capacity.
Yeah.
Alrighty, good job. Take your experience points and all right. So we have sort of three things going on. The one that is most immediate is going to be Dasco. So the situation is Dasco is tied up to a chair, but the knot was intentionally made loose, as you said. There's another random gentleman in there with you. Barnabas has been told to return to his bartending duties. And the pit boss has left and has gone back to the pit, which leaves you in that room with two basically hired muscle dudes.
I'm really hoping we can just slip away really easily because we have found the butler and I just want to deliver the butler.
So is your intention to just play it up? And also, we're basically, you're entering a scene with two dudes. I just want to make sure that those two dudes are still there. I know that multiple people have flashback abilities that could change that situation.
Oh, right. Hang on a second. We talked about this. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. I don't know how many people I can do that to, but I imagine it's just like one of the guards
yeah.
I can take. Okay, then I do that.
Okay, narrate how you previously did something to this gentleman. So your ability is you either have like knocked him out and he can't come into work today, or you've somehow like pre-intimidated him into a different state of a different mental state.
I mean, I would like it to be something like I intercepted this guy in a very sneaky, kind of stealthy way, and basically just kind of like incapacitated him really quickly and stuffed him into a fucking broom closet or some shit that he's currently locked inside of, kind of a situation.
Okay, so did he even make it to work today?
I guess that changes things. I'm gonna say yes, and that I did it here.
Okay, when did you do it?
I mean, if that's the case, wouldn't I just be in here with a different person?
Let's say Avatala like had you fetch one of her drinks or something,
and like I intercepted some guy in a hallway. Yeah. So it would have been during one of the times that Avatala was summoning for a drink in the room with the embalmer.
Okay. Somebody, I guess, challenged whether or not you'd be there in the hallway, and you put them into a closet. So, Dasco, there is
stuff that nerd into a fucking locker. Yeah. Yep.
So, Dasco, there's one bouncer in the room now. There always has been, actually. There's always only been one bouncer whose job it is to intimidate you and the other guy. Fortunately for him, you're both tied to chairs.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my earlier response. I'm just going to start balling. I'll tell him whatever he wants. I'll tell him whatever he wants to hear.
Okay. You're basically, yeah. It's a kind of deception. It's a weird kind of deception.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him everything. I'll be like, I'm sorry. I know what I did was wrong. I was like, but I'm just a poor peasant, and like these guys are taking advantage. It's not just this guy though. I'll turn in everybody. I'll turn in all the guys. Lots of guys taking you guys for a ride. I'll turn in all of them I'll work for you guys. You give me a fee, I'll turn in everybody that I know.
And there it is. Give me a fee. That was the Dasco moment. All right. What are you looking to get out of the situation?
I'm just looking to have them let me. Actually, all I need is for them to let me out of the building, and then I'm happy with that outcome.
Okay.
My goal is to create a distraction, which was successful, and then now I just need to get myself out of the distraction.
All right. The guard is suspicious of you. So what are the wands for then?
I was just carrying them around, picked them up. They fell off the back of a truck. I wink at them, if you know what I'm talking about. Fell off the back of a wagon, if you know what I mean. Up near Highford.
Good play. All right, then. If you're just going to basically give him answers, even whether they're true or not, that's basically just occupying his time. So we're gonna move to Remy. Remy, you have, I believe, come out of the room and into the hallway with the suitcase.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to.
Have we confirmed what's in there? Just quick bit of point of order.
Yes. Remy opened it and saw the butler in a state of suspended animation.
Got
It's
it.
under a
Thank you.
stasis spell.
And what was that card I got off the desk? Do I know what that is?
It I believe it appears to be a keepsake from when the proprietor of this establishment was just getting started.
Yeah, it was a card seal in like a picture frame, in a picture frame that just said "free get out of," and then that's all it says on it.
What does it say?
Free get out of, like get out of free.
Get out.
Get
free,
out of
okay.
Get out of jail free card.
All right.
No, it doesn't say. It says get out of free.
Got it. So it is specifically that.
All right. Well, I will. I mean, is there anyone else in the hallway?
At the moment, no. You hear sounds of Evatala beginning a card game further down the hall, but you don't see anybody in this hall yet. The door to basically the bar is up ahead, or there's a branch in the hall you could turn to where Dasco is being tortured. Again, air quotes around it. Interrogated, kind of, not really.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess I will go.
He's like
out.
detained, basically.
Yeah, he's detained, and from his perspective, he's having a conversation. From the perspective of the person he's talking to, he's giving away all of the secrets of the town folk who are trying to cheat the casino.
All right. I will head out towards the bar is the exit, right?
Yes.
I will head towards the exit then.
Okay, so you come out into the bar. Now you're right now you're behind the bar as though you were a bartender because this was an employee access point. But what you see out on the casino floor is you see that there are the pit boss now getting back into his pit, two bouncers at the door, and a third bouncer that is basically hanging out by the pit boss having a conversation about something. There's also various car dealers running their tables, but they are non-combatants as far as you can tell. You never know. They might be necromancers. But the people who are specifically in charge of security, there are four, one of whom is the pit boss.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know. I guess I will just walk out. Just head to the front door and leave.
Okay. The pit boss spots the case that you're carrying because it is very, very large and distinctive, and shouts at you to stop.
I keep going.
All right. He says to the two guys by the door, says, "Stop him!" And the two bouncers begin approaching you. The box of fake wands that Dasco left on the bar is directly to your right, so you could easily grab it if you wanted to use it as a prop. They are fake, though.
All right. I will grab a wand out of the box, and I am going to tell all right, everyone, I want you to all stop, or else I'm gonna put you to sleep. And I'll open up the suitcase and show them my first victim.
All right. This has definitely given the bouncers pause. They raise their hands. The pit boss, who knows that that's not how that guy got put to sleep, is not impressed. So he is once again trying to get his self out of the pit. This is a slow process. So he's not going to be out right away, but he's working on it. And he's shouting at them. He says, he's tricking you. That's not how that guy slept. But for the moment anyway, the bouncers are paused and they have their hands up in the air because for all they can tell, somebody with a magic wand made by the Applied Thaumaturgy Guild is pointed at them, and they have no idea what the wand does. The GAT wands are notoriously fallible. They are not the works of ancient elven civilizations. They are thrown together things. The one thing that's universally understood about Guild of Applied Thaumaturgy equipment is that it's designed to be usable by non-wizards. So they know that it doesn't matter that you don't look like a necromancer. The wand certainly is probably going to do whatever it does. All right, Evatala, you are in the shop, or I'm sorry, in the back room, and you're about to sit down for your first game of cards.
All right. Immediate flashback, where in the preparation here, I have found out, presumably through Barnabas, who the dealer for tonight was going to be in this room, and have offered a load of money to set up a cooler where I get the nuts, and the other people get second and third nuts.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Tax your criminal potential, and yeah. Do you want to narrate a little scene where you meet with the person who's going to be the dealer beforehand? Or is it just that simple? It's just like, here's a pack of money. How much are you offering this dealer?
Basically, I'm offering the remainder. I've offered what I put down, basically. Like, I will come in with some money, get my way back there. Whatever I have left will be yours. And show how much money I have to demonstrate that, yes, this is enough that you can run away and retire on.
Okay. Yeah. If you're offering this person one of a point of quality.
Basically, the remainder of whatever money I have not gambled away.
I mean, you have like 4 out of 5. You spent 1.
Yeah.
And that was able to buy you an obscene amount. So you could give 1, and it would be sufficient bribe.
Yeah, especially since the person does tell you before you're going to, like, they're not going to be betting money every time. Sometimes they're going to want to bet, like, pieces of your soul or...
Oh, yeah. And those are the hands I want these coolers on.
So, all right, for 1 unit of monies, by which they mean the large chunks, a point of quality off of that earnings you got from the scam earlier. This person will be happy to ring in coolers on those big hands where the pot contains non-monetary items.
Yeah. And basically, I just want to run the 2 people at the table dry. I forgot completely about the plan at this point. I'm just here to steal people's life.
All right. You're about halfway through the first hand when the proprietor, who was overseeing this, though not actually playing, seems to receive a message magically. You recognize it as he got a whisper, and he responds to this. You don't know what the whisper said, but he responds to it by bowing, apologizing that he has to attend to something, and leaving the room.
Indeed, I hope you could take Rourke with you.
I mean, this is just me saying this. If you want to be with these creepy motherfuckers by yourself, like, okay. I don't know if I can help you anyways in this. This is not a battle I can help you with, so.
Alrighty.
So if he wants me to go, I can go.
Yeah. The proprietor, of course, does the sort of thing that owners of shops do. Is I am certain I will be able to handle it on my own. But of course, as a guest, you are welcome to return with me to the bar and partake of our many wonderful beverages. And then, yeah, he heads out. But if you want to follow him, you are welcome to.
I don't know. If it's, I mean, like, I could probably still knock one of these creepy guys out, right? One of these creepy necromancer guys out. If things get hot, I don't know. Are they going to steal my soul if I punch them? I don't know. I don't know these things.
Yeah, you're not sure yet.
Mages generally respond pretty poorly to being punched.
I think probably Chris might need me more, but I don't know. I'll follow.
For all that's going on at the moment, Evatalia has the least amount of heat on her, as she's a customer playing the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else is,
gotten into the shit.
As well they should have by this point in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, switching over to Ed, Dasco, you've given this guy like pretty much everything you want. Meanwhile, the other guy sitting next to you in the chair is like, he's lying. He's completely lying, and is trying to basically say like, I don't know who this guy is. He's trying to distance himself from you. This is just this guy isn't a professional liar. So
it's fine. I'll just say, if I'm lying, how come I got some of the coins that you have? I don't have any of those coins. I got a whole sack just of your coins, marked same day, and then I'll just use my flashback power to trade it previously for something easier.
Okay, nice. All right. He looks at the coin and says, "This isn't looking good for you, man." So the guy goes to untie you. He says, "All right, you stay here, and I'm gonna keep yourself available, and I'll come for you when."
I raise my hands and I say, "I swear, sir, I'll come back to this place, and I've learned my lesson. Cheating is not the way."
He says, and maybe see to it that a couple of those wands get left behind the bar for me to take a look at.
I wink and I say, "All right then. All right, I'll see to it."
All right, so you head out and you arrive at roughly the same time that Rourke does to the front of the casino, where there's a standoff between two at close range and one at long range bouncers, and a pit boss that is desperately trying to get his pit unlocked again for the second time tonight. They're standing off against Remy, who is armed with a wooden dowel rod.
I'm going to shout across the room. It's like, "Did you take that from the wand box?"
Yes.
Yes.
I said, "It's very important. Is it from the box or the bag? Because the bag is the sleep stuff. The box is that'll bring this whole place down. The whole thing." And I look around and say, "I'm getting out of here," and I just run back and start crawling out of the window.
All right. If you would like to
Incredible.
try to start a panic, you can
That's
make
fine.
a performance check or persuasion.
I'll go with persuasion.
I think Barnabas is going to have to join in on this panic induction.
Oh yeah, baby, let's go.
All right, Barnabas, throw some persuasion dice in there as well.
Can I help with the panic?
Can I help with the leadership role?
Yes, absolutely.
So what I'd like to do is say, like, everybody remain calm. We're going to exit out of this left-hand exit all together now in an orderly fashion.
Just scream, "You're all gonna die!"
Yeah.
I am making it slow over towards the window because if there is a panic, if this works, I'm going to grab whatever's not nailed down that I can get on the way out.
Oh, Barnabas, you are so good at this.
Yeah,
Right.
Barnabas carrying a tray of drinks when this happens and just like throws it in the air and just starts running.
Would that be empathy, perception, cunning for the leadership role?
This is empathy. You're trying to induce panic as opposed
Gotcha.
to stop it. So what is, you're trying to think of what is the least comforting thing I can say while trying to direct these people to the door.
Can I give a helper dice?
Yes, you can.
Awesome. I would like to hurl the box of wands in the air and just say, explosive wands for everybody.
Holy shit.
You get an explosive wand, and you get an explosive wand.
At this point, you see something very interesting from the pit boss. He stops trying to unlock his pit and locks it again, and then locks it a second time, and you see kind of a shimmer of magic go around it. Some sort of protective field has been
He has
activated.
bubbled himself.
He's decided that he is not going to be participant in this after all.
Incredible. We have probably about like 5 seconds before it's all, yeah.
How's the panic looking?
I mean, let's see, that's 11 successes worth of panic. This is a quite panicked crowd. Nobody's going to be able to overcome this panic on a single roll.
All right, I'm just going to grab a handful of whatever it is that's near me on the way out the window and crawl out the window and head back to wherever we're staying.
All right, make a quick crime check, and you get some random trinket with that quality. Or maybe just some chips. Actually, you're definitely getting some chips, that's for sure. But also...
Just crime?
Yeah, just crime by itself. All right, you've got a random quality 2 trinket. Something somebody forgot at their table or something. Okay, back in at the card game, Avatala, there's about to be a panic. So the question is, how much did you manage to take from these guys before a panicked crowd runs past the room out through the employee exit in the back?
See, I'm actually going to try to keep the two marks at the table. Just say, oh, I'm sure it's nothing.
All right.
Now, where were we? But I guess what should I roll to see how much I get out of them at this point, just in case this doesn't work?
So gamesmanship is generally a scholarly activity. So scholarship will take the most money from you if you're just playing it as a game. But
I'm absolutely
poker is
cheating,
not
though.
poker. Yeah, poker's not necessarily a purely strategic game. There's a great deal of of social manipulation involved.
And would it be a lower threshold because they paid off the car dealer?
Oh, she's winning every hand that matters. This is more a question of how quickly is she like getting the good stuff.
Yeah. I've just tried to make it so that they have as much in the pot each hand as possible, because I don't know how many hands I'll get to play with them.
Okay, yeah. What skill would you like to argue is matches the technique you're using here?
Honestly, persuasion.
Okay, you're just convincing them that this
I'm
is
basically convincing them to constantly up the stakes.
All right.
You know, is this persuasion plus like empathy? Probably.
Yeah, definitely empathy.
Three sixes.
Okay, so in addition to some little like bloodied chips that are supposed to be like mystic tokens or something that the necromancers seem to value, you have acquired 3 items. You have acquired a gem that supposedly contains the soul of the person who bet its spouse. You're not sure if that is honest or not, but there's definitely something magical about it. And you obtain a potion that's supposed to be a potion of longevity. The rumor is that the potion is brewed using the life force of a person, and so you're taking a piece of their longevity. This is part of the necromancers trying to basically bet their own lives. They'll put a piece of themselves into a potion of longevity. Let's see, and for a third item, a ritual dagger. It has an enchantment. You're not sure what the enchantment is, but it's only a quality 1 dagger. It's like rusty and messed up looking.
That means it's probably way more important.
Possibly. Though sometimes a rusty dagger is just a rusty dagger. Sometimes it's a godslayer, but sometimes it's just a rusty dagger.
It also means I don't have to use a wrench to draw blood anymore.
Listen, it's just happened to me more than once, so...
I don't know how much better that is than a wrench.
Yeah, I think the wrench might even be better than the rusty dagger. You can always pinch somebody with the wrench. The rusty dagger is like you're gonna get tetanus, and that's basically it, right?
You'll have time to identify the items with your magical abilities once you get out of town and get to a rest.
Cool.
Yeah, that's how much you're able to push out of them, trying to convince them not to run, but eventually they become spooked and run out the door with the crowd. At which point the dealer shrugs and goes, I mean, I guess we should flee the burning building. Hope you got your money.
I just laugh. And basically, as I follow the crowd, I'm just going to grab whatever I can and shove into my pockets, much like Dasco. But hopefully stealing from the proprietor himself.
Both you and Dasco managed to get away with a fair number of chips, such that if you ever did come back here and weren't recognized immediately, you could probably cash them in for a fair amount of money.
You need to have Barnabas go in a disguise, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, Barnabas has yet to be revealed as not working for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And you and I, so Evatala and Barnabas got out of here with their cover intact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Remy,
nobody knows who the hell I am.
Remy, in the total panic, I presume you make for the door. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd like to mix in with the group and go out the door.
Very few people actually want to follow you out the front door, now believing you to be a dangerous wielder of wands of fireball. But a few people follow to ask you out the window. A lot of people run out the back. There were guards in the back, and they're just overwhelmed. There's too many people. There's no way for them to contain the rush. And you guys have made it out. You have a suspicion that you're not going to be able to stay the night in this town. It's around 2 a.m. When you make it back to the brothel with the suitcase.
Let's get a necromancer and get the heck out of here. I go to his office.
Yeah.
Tice, I believe this is your character.
All right. Yeah, he'll open that door.
We've got your butler. We got to get out of here.
All right. Let me just do one little thing before we head out the door. Then he'll open it up and he'll double check to make sure it's his butler, and then he'll close it again. Then he'll put a couple seals on the case before lifting it up and start husking it outside with you guys.
All right, we make our way out. We leave. We go.
Alrighty.
I think it's possible we can have certain people stay behind if we want to cash in and collect on whatever we made out of this adventure.
Yeah.
So those of you that have kept your cover, I'd say this is a good time to split off and you can meet us a day out.
Yeah, if you want to do that, they can stay behind. That would mean that they'd be coming in the morning, under daylight, whereas you guys are sneaking out under cover of late night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to do that?
I'd like to cash out.
Yeah, let's get a bonus. We did good tonight.
Okay. So if you cash out, then you guys can add 2 to that pile of, well, 1 each. 1 for you and 1 for Dasco to that pile of monies. So increase your pile of monies by 1 quality.
Very cool.
Which makes up for what you spent.
Hell yeah. Hopefully we're making okay time with that, given that, but.
So those of you who do not go back, it's early in the AM. The sun has not yet crested the horizon. You're trudging through marshland, and you start to hear moans about you.
By the way, I'm with the outbound party.
Okay.
Yeah, I presumed that the only Dasco, I'm sorry, not even, only Evatala and Barnabas, thank you. I knew the story with a B. Evatala and Barnabas are the only 2 that went back to do cash in, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, the rest of you are trudging through marshland. You're hearing moans about you. Would you like to make for a dry spot or keep on pushing through?
Dry spot.
Can I use investigation to like?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, can I just make sure we're okay?
Yeah, investigation plus perception.
It's not much, but I'd rather check.
Your your experience in the Demon Wars helps you out a little bit here. These are sounds made by undead, probably just generic zombies. You fought some like this before. The ones you fought were demonically animated. They had like a red glow about them. You're not seeing a glow here, so this is
These are probably just necromancer.
probably just
guys.
necromancer zombies. Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, what would be the benefit of getting to dry land? Is that just a better defensive position?
You won't see if one of them is sneaking under the water to grab your legs. Yeah.
Cool. We go to dry land.
Zombies.
Of course.
I don't like magical things.
Charles.
We can outrun zombies.
Oh, just zombies.
It's hard to tell, Charles, if these are just like rogue zombies from somebody's animation that they lost control of, or if somebody back in the town is actively summoning zombies to try to stop some burglars that may have recently robbed a casino from escaping. At the moment, you just hear them around you. It is pitch black. Even the moonlight and starlight's having trouble getting down here. Are you guys seeing by torchlight?
I'm going to say probably not because we're trying to hide. If we have torchlight, people can see us from a great distance.
True. So
in this case,
pretty
like my
close to no
entire
goal.
plan is to lead the group to high ground or dry ground.
All right, you get up onto a little hill of drier ground, where you can at least see the ground under your feet.
Yeah.
It's
My
slick
plan
with
is
mud,
if
but
it's
yeah.
if it's possible, I'm basically going to have us form up in a circle.
All right, and you get formed up right as you see the first shadowy figures slowly trumping up onto the land. What little moonlight is bouncing off the water is now showing lots of ripples.
It's going to be a rough night. I advise everyone to either grab like a very large stick so we can just like push spear downwards. Any weapons, anything like that, we're going to have to... Yeah. Unless somebody has a better idea.
I'm going to activate my necromancer powers to try to take control of these zombies as a defense program.
Very good. What type of magics do you use here? Let's take a look at your character sheet. Do you use Scholastic? Oh, okay. So it looks like you don't have any magical talents. You just have necromancy as a thing. All right.
So assuming he has advantage, he can just use that in addition to his other stuff. Or if he doesn't have advantage, he can just use that to do necromantic stuff by itself.
Trait, he has the trait I see dead people. So detection is definitely something he'd have advantage on.
And he can use necromantic stuff whether or not he has advantage. The question is whether he gets to use a facet or a skill and aptitude in addition to that facet or not. Right.
And it looks like the answer here is no. He's got the talent, just not the book learning. All right, so you can roll your necromancy. What is the effect you're trying to create? So I need to generate a target number for you.
Potentially control the several nearby and just have them return fire on whatever's coming nearby.
All right, so you want to change the allegiance, basically, of some of the zombies.
Yeah.
All right, you've got a target number 3 per zombie. Actually, target number 3 for the first zombie, then any extra success will be an extra zombie you catch. Let's see.
All right. See him. So I'm rolling necromancy. Or
Unless you have advantage. If you can justify advantage, you can roll aptitude plus skill plus necromancy.
Well,
Sounds
like you could
at the
do what,
moment
like
you're like a wild talent.
so he could say like potentially argue for like cunning, scholarship, necromancy.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you're doing. Basically, the deal is that whenever you attempt to do something, you justify an aptitude and a skill. If you have a potential, you can use your potential instead for anything that's narratively relevant. But if you have advantage, then your potential, you can add that on. So the idea is that, like, if you have, I don't know, your potential is like Caller of the Flame or something, right? But you're not trained. You have no sort of training or ability to harness that at will. But you have like a survivor trait, then if you're in danger, right, you can do some pretty impressive things, right? But you have to have advantage to tap your potential, unless you have some talent that overrides that, basically. So, like, if you're trained in the Mage Academy, one of the things they'll teach you is how to more reliably access your potential.
I'm trying to decide if morbid counts in this situation. Because one of his traits is morbid. I had viewed that as more of a social trait, but
I'm going to try to control the zombies, not like make
Yeah.
them explode in giant,
yeah.
like meaty chunks.
Yeah, go ahead and roll your necromancy, and let's see what you get. You've also got some unspent experience. When you get to 10, I think 10 experience might be a good idea to add in a talent for casting.
Yeah, or just a mastery and like whatever it is that you're
Mastery and necromancy and
because masteries are like guaranteed advantage.
guaranteed advantage. Yeah. Avatella does have esoteric improvisation of the crime domain. I would allow if you were to treat this as stealing somebody's zombie as a form of crime.
The problem is I'm not actually there, am I?
Yeah,
I'd
that's
think
correct.
that-
Yeah, you're right. You're not. You're taking the safe daylight trip home.
Yeah, she's our princess. That's accurate.
Well, if you have icy dead people, you could potentially, instead of just trying to turn theirs, raise your own zombie army from the dead people you see in the swamp. And then we have a zombie battle.
Yeah. Also, I would say like marking all of the zombies around you for everyone to easily see would absolutely be within your domain, and you'd have advantage on that.
That would be kind of pretty cool.
And if I have, you said if I had advantage, I could do something like focus scholarship with necromancy. Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, so like I have advantage if I'm lying because I have a mastery in lying, and so whenever I'm lying, I add my crime on top of my skill. Like it just.
The short answer is yes. You'd be rolling all three together if it's something that you have advantage on, either through a trait or because you took it like a mastery in necromancy as a talent.
Okay. Sure, I can light up the people, or the not people. I'll light up all the undead that are in the area, just so I can point, so we can know exactly where they are.
Awesome. That's great because it's basically pitch black. How do you mark them? Like, what's their? How can we see them?
I'll make like I guess I'll make their spirit like pour out like sort of like the typical flaming zombie eyes thing.
Cool. So they're creepier. Awesome.
That goes with morbid, absolutely.
Personally, I would have just called a giant floating red arrow pointing. Here's a zombie.
Quest
So
marker.
I'm still just rolling 4, right? For my necromancy.
No, you're rolling necromancy plus scholarship plus cunning.
All right, so that's 3 plus 2 plus 4 is 9. And just for the lulz, I'm going to spend my 2 perception and 5 what's it called? Endurance to activate omniscience as well. Make it into threshold 4, right? Because it's 2 less for the remaining of the scene.
Yes.
It's normally 6. Yeah.
That's correct.
I think it'll be a T5. Right, threshold.
Alrighty. So, how large of a radius do you want to deploy this on? So you've got a lot of successes there. Your immediate surroundings, the whole swamp. I would say that's the limit, is the whole swamp.
The whole swamp.
Okay. While there are some eyes that seem to light up in the distance, immediately around you there are 5 zombies. Now easily visible from their glowing eyes. A few of them were trying to sneak around behind you guys by being underwater. There were some small ripples, but now it's pretty obvious where they are, as the glow from their eyes is almost the only light source.
And then do we still have people formed up in like a circle?
You do, and you can take an action now as your targets are quite easily marked for you. You also know that you're not facing an unending horde. You're just facing a small ambush group. In the darkness, it's very easy to get intimidated by a small number of unseen things.
Then can I use my? Did I have to tax my leadership before for the panic? Or anything
No,
like that?
you were just using that as a skill, unless you had a talent that you were activating.
No. Okay, in this case, I'd like to do a leadership role to get everyone to focus like the closest target systematically, like as they approach.
Okay. So instead of standing in a circle, you're basically going to all charge at one, smack it, and then run back up the hill.
I'd say kind of like maintain a formation where there isn't one, and then the people that are closest, boom, they kind of like stretch out and then return back.
All right. Go ahead and make your leadership roll and see if you can give some bonus dice to your team.
And would that be perception or cunning or?
This is tactics, so this is probably cunning.
Okay.
All right. This is 2 bonus die that you can give out to the next person or persons that act. Which would be, let's see, I believe what's left is Dasco.
Dasco's got to stay behind, right? Dasco and Evitalia stay behind?
No.
No,
Dasco's covered
I'm here.
super blown.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know who I am, but I'm not welcome back in the casino. So
That's right.
Yeah, Dasco and Remy would be the other 2 that are currently in the party.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, the people that are left behind are just Barnabas and Evitala. So the rest of us are here on this hill with these zombies.
why is there random zombies in the swamp? That's. I'm just gonna ask that question, and then I'm gonna raise one of my tonics. Say, zombies, I compel you to retreat. I don't know. I'm just gonna try and scan the zombies. It's just who I am.
It's some Dasco flavor.
I'm basically worthless in combat anyway. I have a 1 throwing, so I can throw something at them. If they get close, I'll defend myself. But at the moment,
I mean, even if you do like 1, that's something to taking it on, you know.
it's a waste of a perfectly good dagger.
How far away are these? So there's 5 of them, 3 of them coming straight at us, and 2 of them trying to circle around behind us.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna tax my criminal potential, and I'm gonna tap Dasco. And before we were planning, I asked Dasco to grab some like grenades of Greek fire in case we needed to make a really big diversion and when escaping the casino.
So that whole time you had fake fire wands, but you actually had real Greek fire too.
Well, I didn't want to be in the room that was on fire,
Obviously,
so
of course. It's just amusing that now, with the slight edit, you weren't actually bluffing.
Okay, well, now that I have these newfound things, I'll go ahead and throw Greek fire at the largest group.
Okay. Little throwing check there to see how your accuracy is. For every success, you catch a zombie in it. Up to 3, obviously, as there's just the 3 there. Oh, you catch the lead zombie. It's good. And Remy, did you have one that you were going to throw as well?
yeah.
You got some work done at that market there. I gotta say, Daska.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff.
All right, 2 of them have caught fire. So, Charles, you recognize that because the zombies are not reacting to the fire as a threat, these are definitely not like ghosts of people who've come back to life or anything, or like they're not free will undead for sure. These are under someone's control. They do continue to march forward, but their bits are melting off. By the time they get to the top of the hill where you guys are, they'll be completely disintegrated. So you know that you don't need to worry about those 2. But it's interesting to note that they're definitely being controlled by somebody.
Cool. That's even more unsettling.
One remains that's climbing up the hill with the other 2 eventually burning away beside it, and then the 2 behind you emerge from the water.
May I make an attack roll, or is my leadership my turn?
Yeah, your leadership was kind of your turn for that round.
Okay.
So the zombies are going to get one good swing, but you can be the one they swing at if you want to just move into position.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So only one zombie's reached the top so far. He's going to get his swing. Behold the power of zombies.
Wow.
It's moving so slow that you just kind of like step to the side and then like pause and wait for it to finish missing you.
Excellent.
And now you can make it go.
Wonderful.
Whoever got these got them from the freaking bottom of the barrel.
It's hard to tell if this is just not a very good necromancer or if it's somebody that was in a huge rush. Like they didn't have a lot of time to get this together.
Can I justify using my buckler as my main offensive weapon? It is a...
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Oops.
Dot F, yeah. All right, that zombie's gone. Go ahead and narrate how badly it's shattered.
So I basically like square up my shoulders and I have my buckler on my offhand and then just lunge forward and just absolutely crunch it with the buckler. Like it is a brutal swing.
Pieces of zombie collapse and splash down into the water below.
I'm strong.
Yep. And these things are barely held together. Now, while you're doing that, of course, two other zombies are coming up the rear, but everybody gets another go before they go, except obviously that was your go. Charles, did you want to try anything on these last two zombies coming up the rear?
Why, yes. I'm gonna look at some of these, and like, it's like clearly there's nothing from their past in here. So the only thing that will be connected to is someone else's past. So I'm going to pull up my my watch and I'm going to focus through the zombie to see to be able to go into to see exactly where it's connected to see who's controlling it.
Okay. Your watch does say that it requires souls to power. Are you going to feed it a soul?
Oh yeah, I got my butler here. I'll just burn the soul of my butler because, you know, then no one will be able to use it to find out any information about me. Convenience.
All right. You feed the soul to your watch, and your watch is activated. You've got for one necromantic spell, you've got an extra 6 dice here. Yeah, you're back hacking the spell that's animating it to figure out who's casting it. Is that correct?
Yes. Did you say pips or dice?
Dice.
Dice?
Actually, you actually fed it your butler's soul, didn't you? Oh, your butler's not a companion though, is it? Okay, yeah, dice. That's fine.
So I think that would still be 10 dice.
Yep.
But since it's still the same scene, I still have a reduction.
You do, although this will tax your necromancy by 1 to use.
All right, I will.
Okay. It's somebody back in town, but it's not somebody from the casino. And you get a glimpse of a portion of their life in which they are bribed by a man that you don't recognize, but you could easily describe to somebody or have a sketch made, as you have a very detailed look at the person's face. The person gives information about your party quite clearly, and not just those of you that were that got caught at the casino, but the entire group. The one thing that the person does not seem to know about is does not seem to know that you, of course you don't know this either yet, but does not seem to know that your leadership plans to recruit a 7th member. They don't know about the druid yet, but they know about the other 6 of you, and they've described them in detail to this necromancer, who was essentially hired as a hitman to try and take you guys out.
Well, looks like someone hired a necromancer hitman to take you all out, including your members in town.
Take us out. Us.
They fully described everyone. I can probably tell you exactly who this person looks like and who they're talking to, but after we're not being assailed by
Never hire. Remind me never to hire a necromancer hitman. Should have used more zombies or something.
All right, the 2 zombies are still progressing.
Yeah, I'll throw another grenade at them.
Cool. Make your roll. How many grenades did you get?
And you want me to make a resources?
No, your ability should have a.
I don't know. What does it say?
Should describe it. If these are just normal items, if they're not esoteric, then it's like any amount of just normal gear. But if these are like Greek fire like special things, then there is a limit that it had built in, and there was a way for you to break that limit, if I recall.
A limit break.
So it would just like normal, like, I don't know, Greek fire grenades not be a basic normal item? Like, it's not magical, right?
I mean, it depends on how they're constructed, but I mean, generally, these are basically Molotov cocktails, which is better.
Okay, so if they're not what we would call a Daedic item.
Like if it's alchemical fire, then they're probably expensive. But if it's just like, if it's basically just like
if it's just
flammable,
an oily rag in a bottle of vodka, then yeah.
I wasn't expecting anything like crazy special. Just
okay, yeah, that's fine then. Yep. So yeah, go ahead and make another throw. Okay, you catch the other 2 in the fire, and they crumble. And presumably you guys then get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now we know that somebody's hunting us. And if they're hunting all of us, then they might know what we're trying to do.
We need to be nearby to control these zombies. I ask Tice.
Your interpretation, Tice, was that the person had to be like not like super close. He didn't need visual range, but he needed to be like not super far away either.
I mean, you're probably back in the town, I would assume.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, he would be somewhere in if the longest range he could do would be somewhere in town.
All right, then we just keep traveling away from town. Then he's no longer a problem.
Yeah, just as long as they don't try to take out the 2 other people in the town that are.
My character looks at you and goes, "Oh yeah, them." And shrugs. Then I remember that they're cashing my chips in. I say, "Oh no, we need to help them out." I hope they're all right. I look sincerely concerned.
Master of sincerity. I guess you are sincerely concerned about your money.
And I'll give a description of the necromancer and the person that was dealing with the necromancer to the group to see if the person that hired the necromancer looks familiar to anyone or sounds familiar.
And were you able to see the surrounding, like his surroundings or her surroundings or their surroundings?
Yes, the guy was definitely in the town when he made the deal.
But like where in the town?
A sort of dark back alley between some buildings.
And
near the market where all the crazy stuff was purchased.
Got it.
Who's the guy that made the deal? Can you describe him? You said he could describe him to us. Or them. Whoever there.
Remy, you recognize the physical description as sounding very much like Slifan, which is the chief operations officer for Edgar Parrington, who is one of the board of directors for the mining cooperative.
Okay. So it sounds like the mining cooperative is basically behind this.
Indirectly. Very indirectly. Like, yeah. About 3 steps removed, but in that chain of command.
Yeah.
You will recall that Slifan was present in the bar that you and Evatala were in when you made your plans. You waited for him to leave before you made your plans, but yeah. He was present in the bar talking to Haderach, who you later met on the road. And who assisted you in one of the recruitments.
Awesome.
So the question stands, are you guys going to go back to try to escort your team? Or are you going to, or even go hunting for this necromancer? Or are you going to keep pushing to the road?
I am not sure. It depends on how much danger Epitala and Barnabas are in. They're non-combatants, so if our adversarial necromancer is aware of every single member of our crew, then that would follow that they are definitely in danger.
He'll be fine. Barnabas will just disappear and he'll just be one of the zombies, and Neptal will just shame them into walking away.
You seem awfully confident now.
I shrug and say, I'm just not interested in going back to that town dealing with zombies.
The other issue is if we go back, we still have everyone at the casino that is currently pissed off at us.
And we're all out of fire wands.
Yeah. Okay. So
We arm the town with fire wands.
I think for a second and scratch my beard and say, that could be to our advantage. Because they are just worthless dowel rods.
It depends on whether or not they figured that out yet. You might come back and then you might be threatened by a bunch of people with dowel rods. More likely, you're going to find a bunch of confused people trying to figure out what the command word is to activate them. Alrighty. Meanwhile, back in town, by the time you guys get your chips or converted into money, it's dawn. The marsh is a marsh. It's annoying to go through, but on the light of day, you can stay to like dry spots, and eventually it kind of forms into something road-like-ish. And you find your party deliberating on whether or not to go back and save you.
I grab Barnabas and hide behind a tree and listen.
And eventually you all make it back to the road.
That worked out well.
I'm certain the conversation about why everyone was still debating on whether or not to go back was interesting. So you're back at the road. You're where the Wizard's Tower is, where the there's still the tents there with the guys basically doing repair work. One of the tents no longer has its portal to whatever place that person was at, but two of them are still active.
All right. So where do we need to go to get this druid? The moon, right?
Yes, which means continuing north to Gateway, and then down into Thordil Mountain. And at that point, you're going to have to try and figure out how to get access to the government's moon gate.
Okay.
You have a contact down there that you know of who has been through the gate once before. It's the proprietor of a brothel in the Dwarven Upperbelly, because Dwarf Society's upside down. But in the upper caverns of Thordil, there's a brothel run by a notorious engineer like yourself named Chops.
All right. And do any of these two portals that are here get us any closer than just walking on the road?
One of them appears to lead directly to Celebre, but it leads to the Mage Tower of Celebre, and there is a mage currently in the way.
What about the other one?
The other one leads to some place that you're not familiar with, where the time of day is slightly different.
It's probably really far away then. How long of a walk do we think it is to Thordale?
You're about 2 days out from Gateway, and then another day inside the mountain to get to Thordale proper. So about 3 days.
And what do I know about the Mage Tower about being able to use their portals? I'm assuming they're not too keen on that.
They are not keen on that. Also, these portals would not get you to the moon.
But they could get me to.
They would
get us to.
Yeah, one of them would get you to
Thordale.
Celebre. The other one would get you to the Empire. I'm not sure how useful that's going to be. It's a whole other continent. The fact that ANAR is giving students special credit for their coursework for doing help with refugee stuff, volunteer work with refugees, is a very nice gesture. It's clearly branched out to some other organizations, and obviously with a war brewing, not everyone's attention is entirely on it, but yeah, this little group has been trying to collaborate with what skills they have to keep the rods of Create Food and Water running, because an entire city was transplanted, and that city does not have any infrastructure in place for food or medical needs or anything. It's basically an entire city became simultaneously homeless and unemployed.
What do they need to keep the rods of whatever their rods working?
They're using the Aether gem at the top of the Mage Tower, which is connected to ANAR's problem with their attempt to collect Aether in a giant container. It's basically a way that they can slowly bleed it down to safe levels. But they've got this thing hooked up so that it's pulling that extra Aether that's being bled out and using it to recharge the wands. So they've got a charging station that is pretty normal. What these guys are doing is they're repairing broken wands. That's why there's a bunch of like random mashed potatoes and gravy just like lying on the ground, is because the wands are not always functional, and so they have to try and fix them, get them working again.
Gotcha. Well, I don't have any ideas on how to get them to want us to use their. We either walk or we convince these people to let us use their portals to get to Thoradil in moments. Does anyone have any ideas?
I'm going to leave it to the talkers.
If I was good enough to have ideas, I'd be getting paid for having ideas.
You are getting
You
paid for
kind of
having
are getting
ideas.
paid for having.
Isn't that pretty much all you do?
I get stuff, you know. I mean, if we got to go to the moon, I guess the dwarves are pretty hospitable. They got good beer. Could pick up some more Ashta.
Think we could bribe them?
Well, if their problem is just trying to keep people alive, couldn't they just use the portals to transport refugees to Thoradil, where the dwarves are pretty hospitable, you said? And they don't have to worry about giving them wands anymore. They become the dwarves' problem.
I don't know if that's like a great diplomatic option. That's a pretty big diplomatic option.
I mean, they just need to open it long enough for the 7 of us to get through. I don't care about everybody else.
Is your character the type that keeps up with foreign politics?
Yes.
All right, so the dwarves recently, in terms of dwarven lifespan, took in a refugee population of gnomes that they are themselves having their own little issues with. They were really kind to them and even gave them the right to vote in their most recent election. But it is causing some disconcern, especially since shortly after that occurred, a group of heroes came and integrated goblins into that policy as well. So they have what they call the Three Mountains policy, which is that they're currently considered a nation of dwarves, gnomes, and goblins simultaneously. This has some serious problems because goblins are incompatible with democracy, and that their population can dwindle and grow rapidly, and kind of at their own discretion. And the gnomes
And they don't
basically
have
forever.
like an individual identity necessarily. They kind of do and they kind of don't, right?
Yeah, it can be weird. Like, they can clone themselves, and then they'll work with their clones, sometimes with the intention of the clones dying off, and sometimes not. And sometimes a clone gets enough experience, it's basically a new goblin, but sometimes they go feral and forget everything. They've been tampering with their own genetics, and they have genetic memory, which makes their entire species kind of a nightmare for other normal species to handle on a political level. And then the gnomes are basically the opposite. They live pretty much like forever, as far as everybody is concerned. When they get like old and tired, they turn into a crystal, and then after 100 years or so, they turn back into a gnome and they're back to work.
They're like living minerals, basically in a
Yeah.
weird way.
Well, then I say we just get walking.
We are being pursued, so if we do find a way to...
Yeah, that's why I was thinking
yeah.
it'd be better to...
I mean, I have some connections to the Mages of Celebrate, but I wouldn't say I have enough connections to just be able to waltz it.
Yeah, from what I remember, you took some classes there, but you also stole some books.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Now, there is some other activity on the road. Coming down the road is a patrol of Crimson Guard. Specifically, these are the snipers that were in Baron back when you guys were there. The occupying sniper group of Baron is coming along. They do seem to have picked up a new member. One of the snipers from Garathan that you had met earlier has apparently joined up with this group and is coming back. They are also, well, I'm sorry, no, they're not. That's coming from one direction. You see in the distance in the other direction, there is another group that is moving in the same direction, towards Thordale. They're a little ways down the road, but they're going slow. So all of you guys are going to meet up eventually.
Can we tell what group the slow ones are?
They appear to be dwarves. It appears to be a dwarf being carried on a palanquin by other dwarves.
Is it the king?
Not the king, but a king, kind of.
Hmm.
The king was elected and is in Thordale.
Yeah.
This looks like a political dignitary from one of the other mountains.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Troy, you want to play as a political dignitary from a dwarven mountain?
I mean, sure.
You get to be the kings. You get to be every king.
At least until we can get your druid into play.
We're almost there.
So this guy comes from one of the dwarf holds in the Troll Mountains, and is on their way to Thordale to try to assess the current state of things, as the road from Thordale to the Troll Mountains is getting close to completion. And yeah, Thordale seems to, from what you've heard, Thordale has gone completely off the rails, has non-dwarves living in it. It's just a mess, and you're there to sort of evaluate. Figure out what in the name of dwarf beards is going on over there.
So does that make him so he's a dwarf purist? Like dwarf only?
You can decide which way you want to go with it, but these are dwarves that their holds have pretty much been forgotten. Celebre is not necessarily even aware that they're there. Baron encounters them occasionally because they do a lot of mining in the Troll Mountains. But yeah, these guys, they probably would have continued doing their work in the dark, unknown to anybody, had the road not been completed. They were coming from a time in which goblins were monsters that you would encounter in caves and you had to kill them. I don't know that you necessarily think of gnomes as being bad, but they're not dwarves.
I mean, goblins are still monsters that you encounter in caves, and sometimes you gotta kill them. So even goblins will tell you that.
This one's gore enough, mate.
Yeah.
Good news is you're so important that they have a squad of 8 dwarves whose job is just to carry you around in a chair.
And dwarves are strong.
Yes, and they don't do the rational thing, which is like they just carry you. No, they carry you while also wearing full plate armor. Giant weapons strapped to their backs that they couldn't wield without putting you down, but they have them because it's ceremonial and important. The sniper group is the first to pass you guys. They're heading with some haste, but they'll probably be setting up a camp that you'll catch up with while they're resting. Casual conversation, you find out that they had met up with the other sniper group that was coming the other way and decided, the commanders of both groups decided to exchange second-in-commands since they're both fighting the same war, and they wanted to do that as sort of a gesture of cooperation. So there's now a Crimson Guard sniper that is working in tandem with Knowles somewhere to the south. And here with this group, you have a Garathan with a soul-forged sniper rifle.
Listen, can I just say that all these hashtag representation, I'm just living for it. It's so good. We have a very woke campaign where like diplomacy wins the fucking day. That's why I get cool shit like Knoll Knights, everyone.
If Harving taught the West anything, it's that like you really don't you don't judge based on species. You can have heroes from anywhere. It started with a goblin hero, and then it like just exploded from there.
All you need is a good story.
Goblin Hero wasn't even real.
Yeah, the goblin hero was entirely fictional. It was just a wolf.
Listen, it's all about it's all about the goblin hero that's in your heart, okay?
That's right. And the fact that the spirit of that non-existent goblet hero occasionally manifests in the Troll Mountains is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Remy, did you have a plan of action, or you just proceeded?
I'm just gonna go. I don't have any plans for this. I just need to get to Thordale.
Cool. All right, eventually you guys all make camp. The next day you're going to come upon Gateway, and you'll finally be able to actually stay at a proper inn.
Ooh, if we're at camp, can someone identify that card I got from the...
And Devatella has a bag of random shit as well.
Yeah. I don't know how identification of this works by.
So both you and Charles have presumably ethereal vision. You can kind of see that things are magical. To figure out what things actually do, you kind of have to poke and prod at them a bit. If you want to tax your esoteric ability by one, then I'll just tell you what things do. The gem is definitely magical. The dagger is definitely magical. The card is definitely magical.
I'll tax it.
Okay. The gem has somebody's soul in it. The guy claimed it was his spouse's soul, but you're not 100% sure that was accurate. But there is a soul trapped in it. You're not also 100% sure that it's a human soul at the moment. You're probably going to need some consultation to figure that out. But you have a soul gem. The dagger has a weird enchantment on it. It's like a super rusty dagger. The enchantment is that as the dagger drinks blood, it will restore itself to a non-rusty state. But if it goes too long without drinking, it rusts again. It otherwise provides no bonuses. It just is a creepy thing. It's the sort of thing that a necromancer would absolutely use in a ritual for the visual effect of watching a dagger drink blood and seeing the tarnish drain from it and it becomes bright and shining steel again.
Couldn't you use this to like technically like butcher a chicken and it would be just fine? And you wouldn't even have to drain the blood. You're like, here you go.
Yeah, actually that is an interesting application for that.
Yeah, because technically, like, okay, we get a little, chicken or a pheasant out here, something like that, Just butcher that knife, and then boom, super sharp, very effective butchering knife.
And if you were to, say, stab somebody with it to death, there would be no blood as evidence.
Holy shit! Nice.
Might be better than a
Okay.
wrench.
Might be better than a wrench, indeed.
We can dual wield.
Just don't cut yourself with that shit. We don't know what's the strength of the suck. It's very like yeah.
Oh dear. Nick your finger and suddenly you're just drained
Yeah,
completely
you're
of
just like a
blood.
fucking raisin. Like, dude, I just need to know.
The card is, let's see, it just says get out free. All right, so the card has an enchantment on it. It's a single use, but it doesn't destroy the card. It would just have to be recharged. And that single use is blink. So anywhere you can physically see, you can be there. It's one use
Gotcha.
until you have it recharged by an artificer. A non-artificer could attempt to recharge it, but they risk breaking the enchantment if they push energies into the wrong parts of the spell.
Gotcha.
It really does look like that this was like a keepsake from his youth, and not something he was like saving for an important event or something. It's like it was on his desk in like a display case, the way somebody might mount like the first dollar they ever earned or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have that enchantment on.
Blink is super useful.
It is.
Cool, so we're at Gateway. Or is this
think we're
still
just on a
this
camp.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so on day 16 you arrive at Gateway. On day 17 you're going to be in Thordil. All right, now because you have rested, you can move however many attacks you want into your stamina, and in Gateway you can stay at an inn. How pricey of an inn do you guys want to splurge for? Obviously, the dwarf, His Excellency, wants the best accommodations, I'm certain. Oh, and when you get to Gateway, the sniper group, they break off. They're heading east to join up with the war formations. There's a lot of traffic here in Gateway. A lot of armed peoples of every species you've ever known is marching in and out of the giant doors to the Dwarven underground. Thordil Mountain towers above this the valley with spiky crags covered in snow. Having come from the Troll Mountains now seem like foothills now that you've seen Thordil, which is just absolutely massive. The gateway into the mountain itself is like, I think it's a couple 100 feet tall. It's huge. It's unbelievably massive, to the point where the door itself actually has buildings built into it. So when the door is closed, it functions as just a solid wall of buildings, almost indistinguishable from the rest of the city. But currently open, the doors on its hinges have blocked those neighborhoods off into these nice little markets, where the businesses at the bottom levels of the door form these little squares with the other buildings that are not on hinges. And there's these big markets created by those regions.
And from my understanding too, Thordil is like a weird mountain in that it basically is almost like a 90-degree angle from us. Like it's shooting almost straight up. Like
Yeah.
it's super fuck off tall.
Super fuck off tall. The idea that Thordil is traversable has occurred in the history of adventurers to only one group, and they barely got across, and then like half of them died founding Garrison.
Yeah, through tunnels anyway.
Yeah, we didn't go like
In
over.
in
That's
the
crazy.
place. Yeah, there's weird crap that looks like that.
In fact, I think the route that they took to go and found Garrison ended up getting destroyed when Shefathus collapsed Dala, right?
Yeah, that's right. They went through the Gnomish Kingdom before the which is
Presumably,
still tall, but not as.
presumably, Rorik's parents or herself would have been in the party that left through to found Garrison.
Yeah, I mean, Thordil's big enough. There is no magnetic north on Talus because of Theo's form, but Thordil's big enough that it's used as a magnetic beacon for navigation in the west.
Like this way points to Thoradil.
Yeah.
Or away from Thoradil.
Currently in the region that you're in, compasses point to Thoradil. The magnetic needle will always point towards this mountain. Being this close, the needle is kind of shaking a little bit, and when you get inside the mountain, it would spin.
So cool. All right. We have a chill day, everyone.
I would say we have some standards of quality that we're willing to stay in. Or Avatala does, at least.
I mean, we made a good tiny bit of money
Yeah.
Along the way, so.
You have, and if you want to spend like one of those qualities of money, you guys could live lavishly and just restore all tax right here, if you want to do that.
I've barely used any but style points.
I mean, I'm down. I gotta restore 4 tax.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Alrighty, so you essentially buy out an establishment that otherwise would have gone to soldiers and diplomats and dignitaries and like top brass people, and you guys have an absolute spa day of it. Finest
we did
foods.
Necromancers, and that was pretty fucked up. So
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should hire a hit back. Not because it will be successful, but just for the principle of the matter.
I think we just gotta go to the moon and find this person.
But the principle of the matter, Remy.
Well, we know that there's another crew that knows about us, or at least people know what we're doing. So we should be getting on this before somebody takes it under our nose.
Troy, do you remember where in Thordil they were supposed to use the flute to try to find the sonomancer that would guide them to the druid? Was it in Gateway, or did they have to go all the way to Thordil proper?
It would work from Gateway. I mean, he was going to Gateway. He's going to Thordil, but I mean, he would have had to go through Gateway, so there's no guarantee he made it all the way back into Thordil. So it would probably work from here.
All right. So presumably, one of you attempts the flute at some point. What happens, Troy?
Good question.
Hi, kitten.
Does the flute actually make a noise, by the way? Or is it like an actual instrument, or is it some magic thing that says a magic message?
It's sonomancy. So sonomancy is kind of a hack. Dwarves have trouble channeling aether through their bodies, but sounds can, at certain wavelengths, interact with ether, and ether at certain wavelengths creates magical effects. And so sonomancers have found ways to play actual notes, like actual sounds, to create magical effects.
So it definitely makes a sound. Whether or not you can hear it is debatable.
Yeah, the thing I was going to go with, and if it makes sense, was that every time you've tried to play it so far, it wasn't making noise, and now when you're playing it, it is. And the noise will... So you play it and you hear the noise. Presumably you could keep playing it, but if you stop, you'll notice the noise repeats here and there. And then presumably some time passes. So you guys, where is everybody right now? Like, where would they
We're
be?
at a really nice place where you're going to have to ask the front desk for us.
I'm in the bath.
All in respective sleeping arrangements, and someone's playing it. Is that the idea?
Dasco, I think, lifts a cucumber slice off of his eye to glance around when he hears the notes.
Oh, that was even better.
It's pretty great.
It was so good.
But yeah, so the sound keeps it gets the intervals between the note get shorter and shorter, and then they stop, and they're I assume someone at the inn notifies you that there's a dwarf outside asking to see someone staying here, and you've bought the place out.
When you bought the place out, did you let the dwarven diplomat stay with you?
Oh, for sure. But none of the staff.
He's one of those, like, used to the finer things in life kind of people, so, yeah.
Yeah. We put up the staff in, like, the inn around the corner that's just barely adequate.
He does have this little scribe that's always running around behind him.
Yeah. Well, you have to have your butler. As we all know. I like to imagine that at this moment, Avatala has like a very nice, sweet cocktail type, and the dwarf has whatever, ashes or something.
The dwarf is probably trying Ashta for the first time.
Ashta, yeah. Over there, they're just hanging out.
That's going to knock his socks off, man. He's going to love that, probably.
He is. He's probably going to walk away from that being like, you know what? They can have their goblins. As long as the shipments of this keep coming, doesn't matter.
Yeah. 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 Send him in. You can send him in.
All right, the Sonomancer is escorted up here. Now, Sonomancers are pretty well regarded in Dwarven society, so this guy probably does look pretty fancy, I think.
I mean, it's almost identical to this recorder player right here.
Yeah, so Sonomancy was a lost art until the Deep War ended, and the dwarves came back out of the Deep War with their Sonomancy core, and they've basically reintroduced Sonomancy back into the society, turning back on all the lamps and devices that people had forgotten were magical. So there's a lot of prestige in being a sonomancer. All right. The staff announces that. What's the guy's name?
This one's Jorher Underfall.
Jorher Underfall to see you. And then the staff vanishes as though they were never there because they're good at their job.
Hi, Joher.
Welcome. Have a drink.
Hello. Thank you. I'll gladly take one. He's looking around for the flute, if it's visible somewhere. I don't know who is playing it, but he's looking for it at the moment as he takes the drink.
I think it
Who
was
was
in
playing?
Evitala's possession, right?
I don't know who had
Was
it.
it my possession?
Aren't you the one the Jester gave it to?
Yes, I would have been. But I would imagine that I tried playing it once, and when it didn't make a noise, I'd pass it off to Remy or something.
All right, and I have it.
And they didn't give it to me because I would have sold it by now.
I'm probably still blowing it.
Well, say it doesn't matter if you blew it now or earlier. Once you've activated it, it just needs to come within range.
Oh, it's working?
Well, if I can see the flute.
Yeah, I'm still blowing on it. I'm bringing it out every couple minutes and blowing it, hoping it still works.
Like, so I see you have one of my flutes. Yeah. May I ask why you're playing it?
We want it fair and square. How much you paying for it back?
How? We could sell it back later. Or actually, no, we might need it. I don't know. We're looking for, let's say, one of your former acquaintances by the name of
Duftal.
Tuftle. Yeah. Gone missing, some might say in hiding. We got this flute from another one of your acquaintances.
A jester.
Jester? I don't know a jester.
That's not important. What's important is Duftal.
Duftal. So you're looking for the druid.
Mm-hmm.
One second, I'm double checking something. All right, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how this plays out because he doesn't care to give the information. I just don't know how we're doing that, Dave.
If he doesn't care to give out the information, then what you'll want to do is basically a contested roll. So you make an argument as to why you don't want to give it out. They try to come up with a good counter argument. if their counter argument is good, has some good points in it, you can award them pips for that. And then you guys roll and see who wins. If they win by enough, then you let them have a little bit of information that'll help guide them. And if they completely flop it, then we can still give them the information, but we take it out of them in tax. Given that they've just recovered all their tax, I think that they're well able to handle that. So.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably well able to handle it just in general. So I go back to what I was saying. Yeah, so you're looking for the druid. I'm pretty separate from them at this point. I mean, if I knew where the druid was, I don't even see why I should tell you. And that's not even saying I know. Like I said, I pretty much cut away from them. He still keeps looking at the flute.
Do you want your flute back? Because it's a pretty nice flute. It's probably good for quite a bit. You know? All we really need is where a former acquaintance of yours has gone to, and we can leave you be and provide you with the flute that you, remind you, came probably across town for. Plus, if you want to live it up at the end for a bit, you're welcome. Have another drink.
It's a pretty compelling argument, I'd say.
Oh.
Even if you don't tell us right now, I can always just find information later.
It's hard to be certain exactly what that means. It sounded like a threat.
Yeah, that was confusing. The earlier part of yeah, this doesn't even need to be like a role thing. Be like, yeah, that if that's the deal, so I wouldn't mind the drinks and the stay, and I'd like that flute back, and I'll tell you what I know.
Well, go on.
I mean, I've got the drinks, but I don't have that flute.
Well, yes, but let's make sure that you actually are going to provide us information, not just going to rush out here. I don't know everything they got up to, but look, you know what? We know what. Information first. We like.
I'm trying to think of what I said already. I mean, I can tell you, like I already said, I know he's a druid, which, I mean, not even the rest of the people I was with knew. And he found out we were leaving, or he found out I was leaving. And he got out before everyone else didn't. So I know he got out, and I know where he went. And he looks at the flute again.
So in our files of the different people that we're recruiting, do we know what happened with the different crews?
You should know that there was a job they were trying to do, and it went bad.
Okay, that's it. We don't know the particulars about how the job went bad.
Or what job it was.
Unless there was a reason why that information would leak. Like, for example, this crew split up, so if any of them were telling tales in bars, those tales would have made it back to you. The situation with Rurik, for example, absolutely made it to your ears in full detail, because that's exactly what the problem was one of them telling tales in bars. But yeah, I would say, like, you have a decent, you also have a pretty decent idea from contacts, not just out here, but contacts in Thordil and other things, of what the druid's capable of. You know that this is a druid of Somnus. This is a druid whose sphere of influence is destruction and stealth.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's something that you would have found out just because of the color of robe the guy was wearing as he walked through the town once, right? Like, that's easy info to get.
So, Johar, we're not giving you the flute until we get what we want. We already know you're part of a team that turned on each other, and I know that Tavu would like to meet you and see you again. So we can take you back to Tavu if we need to.
Now that threat made more sense.
That's why he gave us the flute.
At this point, Avatala has stood up, is holding her drink and doing the pacey thing that evil villains like to do.
He looks concerned for a moment, and then he thinks, and he says, "Tavu. Wait, you mentioned a jester. Wait, is Tavu the jester?" And he doesn't even wait for an answer. He just laughs for a minute. He says, "You know what? That's worth telling. I still want my flute, but right about now, you can find the druid on the moon."
Well, that's what convenient.
You guys will probably need something from him about, like, how to draw the druid out of hiding. He's a domain is stealth, so something from him that will basically let you guys contact the druid.
And how do we find the druid on the moon? The moon's not a small thing.
Rorik's looking around like, does the people near know how to get to the moon?
The moon's surprisingly compact. Not that many people up there.
You're not helping.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some way that you would get him.
Perhaps you have another flute.
Or a piece
These
of
work real great
information?
for me.
Do you have like a piece of information that would lure him out if it circulated as a rumor on the moon?
Do rumors on the moon work?
Oh yeah, the moon is highly populated. There's a large population of druids that live up there. The Moon King Inui maintains a breathable atmosphere in the tunnels. It's difficult to navigate because the tunnels are constantly being reorganized as to what is adjacent to where. But yeah, the druids of Somnus actually found ways to hide on the moon and had an entire like little society going on up there.
Rumors on the Moon is like a Druid Fleetwood Mac album.
The moon is also a major hub of diplomacy, since the moon gates connect several different nations. While the Moon King has historically forbidden the transportation of weapons, the Moon King also has a very broad view of what a weapon is, which has also prevented commerce from using the moon gates. The moon gates basically have only ever been the delivery of messages or diplomats that can demonstrate that they are not causing harm. This is part of the non-interference policy that the Moon King agreed to with some other supernatural powers that aren't really clear what they are. There's a council chamber where some freaky-looking people meet occasionally. It's not clear what's going on. But lots of governments use it as a place to have meetings on neutral ground. Yeah. Also, there's a massive baking industry up there as well. The largest and most significant of the moon gates is in a field of wheat in somewhere near Kylogan. In the middle of what is on the map marked as the pastry exclusion zone. And it is used to transport flour, sugar, and other ingredients to the moon for use in the baking of cakes. So yes, rumors do get around on the moon.
Got it. So he'll look for something to write with, and he'll write down something, and he'll say, and then he'll think for a moment and say, I assume you'll be using a gate here if you're going to the moon, or you need to find him on the moon. And he writes a little extra thing. And he says, this is call it crew calling. It's a castle keeper's calling. He'll respond to that, and the last little bit I put will tell him to basically go to the gate you'll probably end up at. Because they'll be taking the gate from Thordil, I assume.
You assume. You have no idea how they're going to manage to get there, considering it's in the basement of the treasury, of the royal treasury. Keeps that gate in the bottommost room. So
right. Yeah. He's making assumptions.
Making the assumptions that they have some kind of inside connection that'll get them through there.
Yeah, it's like, you must be using the gate here, so it says to meet at that gate, obviously on the moon side. And he has it on a piece of paper, and he says, this for the flute.
All right, trade it.
Seems like a fair deal to me.
Yep.
Alrighty. So you have the secret password, so to speak, and you've traded it for the flute. Good job.
So we have to get into the Bank of Thoradil to get to this fucking gate. Didn't we have to do this last time?
Yeah, last time.
Oh god damn it! That means they've improved security.
Very much so. Last time you actually like broke in. You ended up getting in a fight with Jemmy Two Tails on the on the roof of the treasury.
There was also a bar that fell on it the day before.
Yeah, that's what you did. You wrecked the supports of one of the bars and the tunnels above the treasury so that it fell through the roof of it, creating a hole. Then you fought your way past Jemmy Two Tails on the roof to get into the hole to get down to the treasury, and then it became a stealth mission. That was yeah. You guys actually probably heard of that crew, and you know that crew was run by Chops. So clearly, there is a dwarf named Chops who knows how to get in to the Moongate.
Person I know, or is there someone else?
You maybe, or maybe by reputation. I'll let the two of you figure that out. You're both in the same business, which might mean you're rivals. It might be more complicated than that.
Wouldn't that mean that we're not the first people to ask for this information then, if we do go to Chops?
Absolutely, including and most especially the government of Thordil, that has been hounding Chops about what exactly happened and where the mithril is hidden for a very long time. Because all of the evidence that they've attempted to bring to court has been silver, not mithril. Much to their initial chagrin, and then eventually they got some court orders passed where they can treat silver as moon mithril, basically mithril that was at one point silver but somehow degraded. And they're trying more legal shenanigans to try and pin the operation on Chops. They know Chops did it, but it's just really hard to get evidence because of the
absurdity.
Yeah, well, the absurdity of it, but also because the mithril that you guys supposedly stole keeps turning into silver.
And it is, the funniest thing is that it is mithril. When
it was. Yeah,
it was. Or was, yeah.
It was mithril when you sold it. But yeah, they keep like doing these complicated hoops to try and link like the fences. They're like, we acquired some of the stolen mithril. We can prove that it was fenced by this guy through this guy, laundered over here, and it goes all the way back to Chops. And they present it in court, and it's not mithril at all. Very embarrassing.
All right, let's go find Chops.
All right, so you awake bright and early and proceed into the mountain. The inside of the mountain immediately is still kind of part of Gateway. It's a more dwarven part, and for time periods in which the doors are closed, this would be a dwarven town. But now with the doors open, it's just a mix of people and commerce. A lot of the dwarves don't like to not have a roof over their heads, so there is a higher dwarven population in this area. But yeah, proceeding from here, there is a sort of side road you could take that goes a little bit east to a dock the size of a city that literally sometimes has a floating city on it, but that city is not there currently. It's currently docked at Thordil. So down the road you proceed for a day, and the next day, after camping on the road, which even here under the mountain is still a perfectly luxurious place, well lit, flowing water that's always fresh, nice places to sleep and set up camp. Everything's very conveniently built. And then you come to the city. You kind of feel it before you see it. Vibrations of 100,000 people, mostly dwarves, but also goblins and gnomes, just thrumming about their business, sending their footsteps ricocheting through the cavern walls. It's the kind of noise you feel in your gut, and as you open up into the caverns, you can see that this is a very complicated place. The city is organized somewhat more vertically than most cities, with the poorer districts being near the top and the richer districts being near the bottom. It's not in a single giant cavern, but is in fact in several caverns, and it makes very good use of the space. Walls and ceilings are lined with structures, houses, shops. It's a very three-dimensional place. Also, it's a place that's almost entirely devoid of roofs. There's no weather here, so a lot of buildings are just a collection of walls with an open roof.
In this particular place, you're in the pillars, right? So
yeah,
the buildings are actually just constructed by attaching stuff to pillars. They look like buildings, though. You get a number of squares, right?
And the squares are all very precisely measured. Like, all the buildings are on a grid, basically, and the grid is very precise. To get to Chops, you end up taking some side tunnels that curve up around the to the upper levels, where things are a little less nice, a little more run down, dodgy people in the corners and such. And then you come upon just the nicest looking tavern that you've seen in the mountain so far. Clearly a lot of money has gone into just sprucing the place up. And it appears to even have royal guard outside. Although, from what you know, these are not here to keep you out, they're here to keep Chops in. Chops is essentially under house arrest, but is still running her business, and her business is thriving. Chops, would you grant an audience to these travelers? You absolutely know Remy by reputation, if nothing else.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. It's not the first time that players in this group have had to have multiple characters they play as. So that last adventure you ran, Ed, we were like, all of us had at least 2, some of us 4 characters in that party.
Yeah, it gets kind of crazy after a while.
It was like the all-star super party.
So we were trying to get an audience with Chops right now, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Chops is under house arrest by royal guard, but is still otherwise running her brothel. Yeah. And if you have any questions about like what resources you have and what you know, Chops, I'm more than happy to refresh you.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Right, so you masterminded a robbery of Mithril from the moon in an attempt to crash the Dwarven Mithril economy as a job that you got from a beekeeper that was working for one of the opposition parties to the current political king and council. They lost the election, they wanted some revenge, they wanted to make the current king look bad. You managed to rob the mithril, but during the heist, you used a tool to cut the mithril that had an unintended side effect, that it took the property of the person wielding it, which was limited lifespan, and applied that property to the mithril. So the mithril basically attained a life and then began slowly dying, transforming into silver. However, you managed to sell most of it to various fences before anybody found out about that, and got away mostly scot-free, but the Dwarven Treasury did eventually track, because of method of entry you used, crashing in through the ceiling. They figured out that it was you, and managed to put you under house arrest, but they have trouble pinning you down for two reasons. One is that they can't find good evidence, but another that's not publicly known is that you have a friend on the moon. One of the people in your operation was an elf, and that elf managed to finagle himself into a position as a diplomat for Philonaesthi. In many ways against the will of Philonaesthi, but Philonaesthi can't do much about it at the moment. And so they, that elf is on the moon and is a diplomat, even though they were a member of your crew. You have incredible leverage over this elf because you know that they were a member of your crew and were a criminal, and also because they are quite the deviant and frequently partake of the services of your brothel. One of the girls in particular that you send up to him, lovely lass with quite the flowing beard. She has shown...
Oh, yeah.
She has shown significant skills in espionage that you have sort of taken her under your wing and have been training her to basically not just go up there and service this elf, but to spy on him, bring you back reports. And so you have a really good knowledge of what's going on the moon, and you have an incredible amount of leverage over this one particular diplomat. It's been a lot of sidestepping, but using that leverage, you've kept yourself merely under house arrest and not imprisonment.
Is that Druid Duftel, or is this a different Druid?
No, that's not a Druid at all. That elf is a wizard. He's a Philonaestian wizard that had been exiled because Philonaesthi did not approve of his love of dwarven women. And...
which is a shame. Yeah. They're very sturdy lasses.
But then he managed to get an audience with the Moon King and said a few things that got misinterpreted, and the Moon King teleported the two of them directly to Philonaesthi, built a new moon gate, and and basically appointed him as their liaison. And so that Philonaesthi has begrudgingly begun interacting. They don't like anybody else that's interacting diplomatically on the moon. They're really isolationist, but they can't do anything about it. So they're stuck with that guy. Really, he's not doing much other than just enjoying the luxury of being a diplomat on the moon. Hasn't really accomplished any great feats of diplomacy or social change or anything. He's just living the high life. But you've got dirt on him, and you've got a spy in his bedchamber at all times. So you basically can pull his strings however you need to.
So could she then basically help us get in through that way, in a social way?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Do you need anything special to get through the gate, or just the location of the gate?
It's inside the vault at the bottom, so we needed a really good reason to be allowed down there.
Yeah, generally it's government agents and diplomats only, as a general rule. It is kept in the vaults of the National Treasury. You know somebody that is a diplomat, so you could pull those strings if you want to.
So then what I would probably ask for is, say, we're sort of dignitaries and entrepreneurs or some shit like that, and that we're wanting to do a business proposal to Philonaesthi, and we're going to basically have Chops strong arm this guy into having an audience with us so that we can get through the gate.
If Chops wants to.
If Chops wants to, which she might not.
And here's something Remy would know. If Chops gets wind of exactly what you're trying to do, Chops is in the same business you're in and might try to get a cut of it. So you might want to be careful about how much you reveal of your intentions. Unless you're willing to give up a share and split it 8 ways, which I think a lot of the people in your party would object to. So, Chops, are you going to let them right in, or have them sit in the basement, take them to your office? What's the plan? You can't actually leave the building. You're under house arrest.
Got it. Yeah, I'd say they can meet me in the back, I suppose. Back office, I suppose. That's where I do most of my business. Wouldn't be doing it out front.
All right, you have some of your underlings make sure that the government agents that are always there to keep an eye on you are distracted, and for a brief time they lose track of you, and you're in your back office with these guys in private.
All right, what can I do for you?
We need access. We need to get to the moon.
I see, I see. What are you looking for up there?
We are looking. What? Go ahead.
Go say, I'm traveling from Celebre. I'm from the Hellfire Ranger family, and I basically just need to get back home somewhat urgently for business reasons, and don't really have time to journey there the traditional way. So, any means that we could get on the moon and get back to Celebre through the moon gates would be brilliant.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it'll definitely cost you. I don't think I could do something like that without some form of payment.
Of course, of course.
Quick
Let the
question:
negotiation
Were we
begin.
able to spend enough time in rest for Evatala to know exactly the nature of the soul that was in that gem, or just she just know that it's just a soul and it's not human?
Just that it is a soul. You don't know the species yet. You're gonna need a laboratory to research that.
There you go.
Yeah. Being on the road is not a highly conducive to doing complex stuff, but it's a soul. It has free will. If it were not in that gem, it would have gone on to some kind of afterlife. In a laboratory setting, you could start to do tests, like kind of almost letting it loose and catching it to see which afterlife it heads towards, stuff like that.
So is this part of like our 10 roles to get to find Duftal? Because our challenge is literally just to find Duftal on the moon, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could think of that as part of it. You also need to, you need to get back to Celebre. So this is also part of your core quest.
Okay. I'm just curious.
In any case, you already have the element you need when you get to the moon to get that. This is more like core getting to the next step. Because if you can pull this off, you're going to arrive a day ahead of the cart. So you have a full day to get Celebre ready for whatever shenanigans you're going to do when that cart arrives.
Yeah, I think you've been getting successes instead of dices, just theoretically, for finding Duftal, because you had to do multiple things and transits and stuff, versus everybody else's is usually in like one area.
Yeah, Duftal kind of got scattered over a lot of space.
All right. So, what's the going rate for Moongate access?
Well, I have to say, this isn't something I do for really anyone, so it'd be pretty silver. Quite a few silver, actually.
Surely you have enough silver as it is. Or
Yeah, the silver market has crashed, actually.
Okay, well,
But it,
What about elven silver? You ever seen elven silver? Real rare.
Oh.
Chops perks up. I don't think I have.
I reach in my pocket and pull out that random quality 2 trinket that I picked up on the way out of the bar. And I set that down on the table. And I use sword salesman that.
Wow. This is... I've never seen anything like this before.
You haven't even rolled yet. Chill your jets.
Okay. Yeah,
I'd say this is high quality stuff right here. Very high quality stuff. Extremely rare. I got it from a necromantic enclave. They'd stolen a bunch. You know those necromancers over in the West that were resurrecting old generals or something? Well, all those elves, yeah, they had some of this stuff here left over from the old elven necromantic history. This is like 5,000 years old right here. You're not going to find another piece like this.
in terms of what the use sword salesman talent does that he activated is instead of this being considered 2 pips to his convincing you to buy it, it's 2 dice. So potentially, depending on how well he convinces you, that you'll treat this as being worth, 2 quality of money, big money.
So I'm willing to trade with you. I kind of slide it back towards me on the table and say, this is a precious commodity, and I don't want to just give this up for nothing. I need to know your information is good. And I'll put up some dice in an opposed trade roll, I guess.
Yeah, go for it. I do not remember what Chops' trade is, but we have the character sheet in the Moon Heist folder. Huh. That's not at all what I expected. Player characters, there we go. Okay, there's the real one.
Am I rolling against this?
Yes, your cunning plus trade, which your trade is apparently 0 dice. So, and let's see, do you have any talents or methods that alter it? It doesn't look like it.
Not really, I don't think.
I mean, it's just a negotiation roll. I'm trying to trade with you for this thing. You don't have to trade back. You can use persuasion or something.
Well, what
I mean,
Shops
she's
is
trying to trade.
she's trying to
too,
trade,
right? So-
and yeah, she's trading access to the moon.
Cool. So cunning plus trade.
Yes. All right, Chops. It seems like you're getting the better end of this deal, from what you can tell.
Nice. All right. Well, I assure you, my information is legit, and I do like what you got there. I think that'll do.
I shake my head. I look at it. I look at you. I look back at the rest of the group, and I say, "Things I do for you guys. Things I do for you guys. All right. I'll wrap it up for you." And I get out some parchment and start wrapping it up.
This is why I hired you.
This is why you were the first person they recruited. That, and you were just outside of town.
Yeah, that's very useful.
Wasn't I like the third? You're the first person, right? Right, yeah. I consider Remy and Evatala to be like a team. They're like the team leaders, so I feel like they're kind of they're a bundle, you know.
Chop still has the glorious mutton chops that you named before.
I would hope that they're, you know, decorated with like little golden rings and beads and all kinds of finery because she's living it up. She's living her best life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's got a very successful brothel, you know.
Yes, very successful. The fact that she also managed to launder and fence all of the earnings before anyone got wind of what was going on helps quite a bit too. Somewhere hidden somewhere in Thoradil, Chops' stash is massive.
Deska's just trying to help people find what they want. You know, like for all I know, this could be Elven Mithril. I don't know. I don't even know if that thing exists, but it could be that. That's what you want. That's what you get.
Alrighty, Chops, how do you plan to get them to the moon?
So we're going to need some sort of diplomatic reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to be able to get them into the royal treasury, which means getting them into the royal palace and then into the basement of the palace where the treasury is.
Oh my god, you guys, we get to have the fancy outfit montage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I assume that Evatala maybe is the only person here that's maybe dressed up fancy enough.
Possibly Barnabas as well. You never know how Barnabas is going to dress. Barnabas can dress like anything.
I basically look like the female equivalent of Guts, so no, I don't look. I mean, outside of the nobles scene where he's in that weird blue outfit, but anyways.
I'll say right now Barnabas is still wearing the bartender outfit. So he's going to have to get some stuff together. But yeah, I'll look around and say, well, you know, you guys are going to need some better clothes than what you got on right now. But yeah, so if you could try and look a little more professional, I might be able to get you through.
I'll go sort of close out.
Avatala is visibly offended at your suggestion.
All right, Dasco, you make a quick shopping trip and come back with some fancy get-ups.
Yep.
Everybody does their quick change montage. What are you guys going to dress up as? This is fun.
What do fancy bodyguards look like?
Depends on the society. So
Right, exactly.
Yeah. If you're looking Celebran fancy, you're going to look like a mercenary. You're going to be very practical. Clean.
Oh, sweet. I don't necessarily have to change outfits.
Yeah, clean but practical for Celebran. If you're looking dwarf fancy, you're going to be covered in armor. Intricately carved patterns all over it. If you're looking Cilician fancy, similar, but the armor is going to have lots of like cloth symbols representing various orders and religions and dragons and things. Depends on what kind of fancy you want to look like. You're going to the moon, and the moon is not really a civilization. It's not a city. It's not a country. It's just an event. If you think of the moon as just a continuous, ongoing event, that's awesome. All right, are you guys?
I would say we would probably do Celebran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to tend towards political fashion, merchant fashion, or like government fashion?
I mean, if we go merchant, we don't have to stray too far from the truth.
That's true. You will likely not be as welcome as people involved in political and military affairs. Currently, there's a war going on, which has everyone's attention on it. But yeah, less lying is harder, but also involves less lying.
Also, we have Dasco.
I say, like, I could just wear my uniform. It's become relatively prestigious.
Oh yeah, you've got a Mordican uniform.
Which is now basically the uniform of the tax collectors.
Yep.
I've always wanted to be a military big shot.
Celebran military has a lot of red on it. They are called the Crimson Guard for a reason. All right, well, everybody gets dressed up in some fancy stuff. We'll sort out exactly what fancy stuff later, I guess. So, Chops, are you going to send for your agent that you have on the moon?
So, would the idea be that they would help shuttle everyone?
Basically, yeah. You have this agent that she was working in your brothel, but she showed a lot of talent for espionage. So you've had her spying on your elf friend that you have all that dirt on the moon. So you could send a message to him. You could send a message to her. Well, who are you going to send a message to, and what's it going to say?
Cool, yeah, I'll send it to the spy. And I'll just basically, I won't give much information, but just say they need to report back to the brothel immediately.
Okay. It takes a little while for your message to get through channels. But eventually, a courier from the palace comes back. It's been a few hours. You guys have been probably having some drinks and carousing a bit. Courier comes back to say that your agent will be there shortly. As far as the government is concerned, you are providing services to a diplomat, and so those services, in much the same way that their own diplomats need some civilian support from scribes and people to carry their luggage and stuff, and occasional caddies for if there's moon golf. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But your agent is considered one of those, just like basically a ancillary worker, and so their ancillary worker visa gets them to and from the moon, and they come back, and they're here to see you.
Welcome back.
Of course, mistress.
I've got a special task for you. This is very important. See these fine people here? We need to escort them to the moon.
Interesting. It only takes her like a split second of looking at you guys to come to some conclusions of her own, and she asks, "Does it matter who knows they get there?"
Preferably the less people that know, the better.
What of the elf?
I guess on a meta sense, does it matter if the elf knows?
That's up to you.
I'd say it's better to keep this hush-hush.
She frowns. Difficult then. If we let him know, I could just bring them up as additional help. But if we're going to try and keep it secret also from the elf, we might need to take them in the back way. She looks to the crew you guys have assembled and asks, "How much do you guys know about moon gates?"
Would my character know anything about them?
Probably not how they function. You probably just know that like they go.
No, of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walk through the gate, you're on the moon.
I would presume that if anybody in the party is to know, it would be either Avatala or Ravi.
Okay, so you basically express that you know something about how they are not exactly teleportation, and she says that's right, they're not. They are a re-education of space. They redescribe what is adjacent to what, and so when the gate is open, you don't teleport through, you walk through, because it's just a single continuous piece of floor from one side of the gate to the other. But that brings to mind the question, what's going on behind it? If one were to walk around the gate to the other side, what would you see? And the answer is that you also see through the gate to what's behind the other gate. And therein is the secret to the back door. Hidden in crates or something behind the gate when it opens, you will have a view of what's behind the other gate, and you can run through and try to hide on the other side. This is challenging, but it has been done before. She glances to Chops when she says that. So the key will be for me to use my diplomatic access to get you guys down there, and then you're going to have to find a way to hide behind the gate until it opens, and then step through. I will warn you, though, I can't protect you once you're on the moon if we go in that way. Unless I bring you in as an attaché to the elfin diplomat, then you're going to have to deal with security. And security is run by Randy Gearhands. My advice is just don't go near him. Stay clear of him at all costs. The thing you'll find most surprising on your first trip to the moon is how much it resembles a jungle. It is technically caves, but there's a great deal of plant life in those caves.
Wait, so if we get snuck up there, then we have to figure out a way to sneak through a portal. Another portal, right?
Yeah.
You need to go back down again through another gate? I don't think sneaking is the way to do it, she says. Not to question your plan, mistress, but I think we're going to need to bring more people in on this if we're going to get them all the way through to another city.
How trustworthy is the South that you mentioned?
She sneers and says, hardly at all, but on the other hand, he doesn't seem to care about much, which makes him both not trustworthy and also not as much of a risk. He's not going to mind if we're doing something illegal, but on the other hand, he also kind of doesn't care enough to protect our secrecy either. I think I may have some leverage, though. I think I can keep him quiet, or at the very least distracted.
Yeah,
All right.
if you think you can do that, you seem fairly skilled. Let's do it that way. Because we do have to come back down. We have to come back down to a different gate quite quickly.
She looks to Chops for approval on the plan.
I'll defer to these fine folks if they're willing to take the risk.
All right. I'm going to forge some quick documents, and I'll be back down in about an hour. And she heads to her room. All right. yeah, in an hour she's returned. She has some forged paperwork for you. You guys are all changed into your various outfits, and you all proceed to the palace. The palace is a very busy place. There's a lot of military gatherings of various nations here. Most of them are going to positions, but there seem to be some groups that are waiting just in case permission to take military troops through the Moon Gate opens up. You overhear some conversations that there's some diplomats that are basically trying to convince the Moon King to allow the use of the Moon Gates for military maneuvers. So far, there does not seem to be much success. Nevertheless, they are hopeful. The palace itself is guarded by an interesting group that, Remy, you find immediately alarming. And that is that they are, while they're dressed in good dwarven gear, they're like solid, like Royal Guard quality gear, their banner, in addition to the Thordil national banner, and the symbol of the political party of the current king, they have another little tabard on their shoulder, a little micro cloth with a rat that has two tails on it. Jemmy Two Tails was never known for working with anyone other than herself. The idea that she may have taken the Two-Tail Rat Company to an actual mercenary company, and that company might be doing government work, is a little bit frightening because Jemmy is completely insane. Actual clinical multiple personality disorder insane.
How do I know Two Tails?
A two-tailed rat is the symbol of a renowned underworld mercenary for hire, very similar to Rorik in their general purpose, a just absolute combat specialist. However, Jemmy is crazy and she's always claimed to be a representative of the Two-Tailed Rat Company, but she's also its only member. Or at least her and her alternate personality are the two members. Her alternate personality is also named Jemmy, which makes things even more confusing, as you never know which Jemmy you're talking to unless you know the secret to her personalities, which is one of them's left-handed, the other is right-handed. But yeah, she is delusional. Approximately half of her memories are just dreams she had that she believes are real. She's nuts. She's very, very dangerous in a fight, which is why she's always had work. But yeah, what you're seeing is evidence that her mercenary company has more members than just herself now.
Gotcha.
Fortunately, you haven't encountered her. But yeah, you see evidence that there are members of the guard here that are wearing the Two-Tailed Rat Mercenary Company logo. And into the building you go. So it takes a little while to get through the palace because there's so many people trying to get through. A lot of people are being rejected. You guys have visas that get you through, even though they were freshly forged. But yeah, the visas say that you're there on behalf of a Philonastian representative. And so yeah, they shuffle you through. They mostly just don't want to deal with you because he's never been particularly useful for anything for Dwarfkind. So yeah, they shuffle you through, and eventually you get to the gate. The basement of the treasury is a pretty impressive place. You do pass through a lot of displays of different ways that the dwarves have forged currency over the years. A lot of it's sort of meant for tourists, and a lot of it's been pushed to the side just to make more space, because they're in sort of an emergency overdrive right now. Yeah, people coming and going. It looks like they are taking carts of mithril out of the moon. So as you get down there, you see carts that are laden with mithril are being shipped out through the gate and taken off to presumably forge more armor and weapons. And then it's your turn. You can see on the other side of the gate, there is a druid whose eyes glow with a greenish purple that looks through all of you. You definitely get the sense, Remy and Charles, that this person has true sight, and if you were trying to use any kind of magical disguise or invisibility, it would immediately fail here at this point. But you're not. You're using paperwork, which is a far superior disguise because magic cannot pierce it. And so you step through the gate, and you are now literally in orbit. But you can't tell because it looks like just a cave covered in vines. Thick vines, like as thick as your wrist. Just twisting all over. They're very leafy, a lot of foliage. Looks like if you really tried, you could hide or get lost in the vines. And you have arrived on the moon. I think this might be a good stopping point, as we're about to transition into some new territory for you guys. So also, we're getting close to midnight.
All right.
So go ahead and do closing ceremonies, and we'll pick back up here on the moon next week.
All right, so I feel like everybody deserves points for getting out of the casino. Everyone did a really good job getting out. But if I could be more specific, I will say, Troy, I want to give you a point for playing a king and a sonomancer. Those were some cool scenes. Chris, brilliant work with the fake explosives. Dasco with the I steal the shit off of the table as I climb out of a window like a fucking cockroach. And then sold that very same thing for it's just brilliant. We're basically in the green, I want to say, or in the black, like we're making profit here. Evitala for literally walking away with like some pretty spooky goods from the casino sequence, and Tights for marking out all the zombies in that zombie combat, because that probably could have been. I was the only real combatant in that situation, and that was going to be really scary. So that was super helpful. What else? Kristen for her appearance as Chops as well. I really like that character. I think I got everyone, though. Points for everyone.
Yeah. I like to give one out to Jackie for just being our strong person. It's like anytime that we're like feel like so like you using your ability whenever you feel like it's gonna like be extremely favorable, which I enjoy. One to Eben. So getting a little late already. To Eben for the other one's a liar, and Eben's just being one of our great leaders. I like to give one to Echelon for always for freaking jumping out the window, basically. Just like we need a distraction. You just like jump up, go, oh shit, that's a grenade, and jump out the window. That's the second time that people have jumped out windows because of a lot of you. They thought there was a live grenade because of you. Went to Kite for this goose chase that he's putting us on. Because we've gone through several places justifying this dang druid. I want to give one to Rav for being our smooth talker, just like also just like accidentally forgetting that you're actually on a mission and just like going to the casino. And I like to give one to Shifty for just like even like accidentally still incognito until like we just changed or whatever. Just like hang around in the bartender's outfit the whole time after leaving the bar. I think that's everyone.
All right, I'll go. Point to Edver just always having a scam going. It doesn't matter. I think the only time that we haven't run a scam of yours in a city that we visited, we framed somebody for murder. So, it's quite remarkable how there's always something going.
I mean, isn't that where we got the axe from? So I mean,
True. Technically, it was a two-part scam. Point to Christopher. For keeping us on track, bailing out the, I guess, swamp divers. In what could have been a pretty tricky situation. Point to Jackie for just perfectly stoking the panic. Yeah, there's one thing for acting out panic, really. There's another thing for actually giving the conflicting orders that just act perfectly panic. Point to Tice for getting the information about who sent necromancer assassins after us. That's very useful information that we could not have gotten just a few hours before. Point to Kite for being so patient and on this goose chase and constantly playing kings. I believe finally a point to Kristen for stay back and presumably, at least in the way my mind went, Barnabas had to play Rorok for a bit so you could play my bodyguard when we went to cash in our chips. And even though we didn't play that out, that was very funny in at least my mind. I believe that's everybody.
All right. Jackie for just utterly destroying a zombie with a shield.
Butler.
Maybe Butler, but yeah.
Buckler, yeah.
Yeah. Ed, who I think your initial response to the zombies was to try to convince them not to attack us. You just look at the situation like, I got nothing. And you just try to talk your way out of it, and they're mindless zombies.
I was pretending to be a priest, you know.
Yeah.
I figured I'd speak.
I know. Troy, for your, I like negotiating with your character that you have, like your different characters that keep coming out of nowhere, but they've had a lot of flavor to them, so I've appreciated that. Thank you. Viv, for your absolute dedication to like wanting to commit crime. I thought it would be this like little passing thing, and every time it just seems to be getting deeper and deeper into it, that I think it's going to become a liability eventually now. So yeah. Tice, for your. I like the little touches on your character, like the fact that you just like just like little lines, like adding the seals, extra seals on your butler's suitcase before we go and stuff like that. And Kristen, for I'm enjoying Chops and the meeting an old character that's new for me.
All right, I'll jump in. Point to Viv for just completely disregarding the core mission when we get to the casino and just focusing on trying to steal those people's life force back in the high rollers table. And then a point to, this one's kind of a two-parter for Chris and Ed for the boomsticks. Ed for just, all of your grifts, just like the long game of them coming in handy at some point in the future. And then Chris for when you like just threw them in the air in the commotion of trying to get out of there. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Jackie for one-shotting the zombie with your buckler. Tice, I thought it was great that you were going to try and control all the zombies. Like, no, all your zombies are now my zombies. Even though, it turned out a little differently, I thought that would have been pretty interesting if your character would have been able to do that, and maybe someday you will. And Troy, just a point for always being willing to jump in and play these random characters until we do get to your candlestick maker. Sounds like we're almost there. And yeah, I think I got everyone.
Yeah, I'll go. So Tice for IP backtracing the zombies. That was a good call. That was probably the more useful thing he did. It turned out that it was just a useless guy that we don't care about. That has like limited range, so we just walked out of his range, but it might come back to haunt us later. Troy for playing the Sonomancer. That was really cool. I like that you were eyeing the flute or whatever. It was good. It was a good play, and the king as well. Chris for the pointing at wands at people, being like pointing what you know to be not real at people, and then just like playing it up. That was good playing out things. Jackie for being concerned about how well dressed you were, but then being like, you're a sleeping mercenary, so if you kind of look like Guts, the dwarves respect that, right? I don't think Gunther even had a shirt, so yeah.
He did not.
Kristen for visiting Chops. Was a good character, so good to see Chops back out again. And then Viv for going for basically when asked the question, like, hey, are we going to proceed on the main mission, or are you going to go back to cash out your chips? You're just like, of course we're going to go back and cash out the chips. That's amazing.
All right, I think I'll go. Tice for when presented with how to focus and illuminate zombies, you chose to make their eyes glow, which was fairly solid in your character. Jackie for can I use a buckler as a weapon, and then doing so. And violently also described.
Listen, they're weak to blunt damage, right?
Right. It was the correct action. Kristen for adding on to the trying to add to the panic of the casino, and flavoring in the tray toss, and just booking it, which is what would happen. Ed for it got addressed, I guess, but the fact that you were going to run away after basically inciting the panic, but then the fact that you weren't going to leave and you were trying to steal stuff on the way out. Viv, for I guess this is in the same keep. While the panic was going on, you wanted to keep playing and get money or get lives. You weren't contributing to anything. You found a game and you wanted to play and win it. And then Chris, for waving your fake bomb wand, and for the tieback for having the bombs later, and just no sweat. I wouldn't want to use bombs because I was in there, which is a perfect explanation for having bombs and not using bombs. Well, I think that's everybody.
Woohoo!
Alrighty. Everybody get a chance to give it XP? Excellent. Thank you, everybody. That was a really awesome session. I guess the only thing I didn't get a chance to like take you guys on a tour of like the Square of the Heroes or any of the monuments or stuff. It was straight to business. There's so much more to see in Thordil, but another adventure, I'm sure.
We'll come back when we're much richer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of on a timer here.
Got to keep that tight schedule.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Yeah, we only take time out of our schedule for scams.
But you always make time for the scam.
Yeah, that's
Listen,
the
if
best part.
the job goes to shit, we still made some money.
Yeah, we're basically setting up for a mission by making money.
That's true too. Like it literally, like when you're dealing in bribes, the money is like way more than just like a normal trade.
Yeah, and when you get to your true mission, when once all the recruitment's done, you're going to be up against an organization that has more money than you do. So being ready for the kinds of bribes you might have to pull off is smart. This is a good way to do things.
Yeah.
You're snowballing towards your final cliff.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
Good night.